Ever feel like your kneecap wants to slide out of place? This isn't random and it's not necessarily normal, but it is related to your biomechanics. If you have something called patella alta, you are even more susceptible to this. Let me show you why this happens and what you can do about it to help prevent it. Starting with the why, we need to understand the anatomy of the knee and how it all works. So your kneecap sits in what's called the trochlear groove on top of the femur. Now, that groove is very similar to a half pipe, meaning that when you first go into the half pipe, the walls are very narrow, but the farther in you go, the higher the walls will be, meaning that you have more stability on each side. Now, as you bend your knee, the kneecap will naturally move down into that groove, meaning the farther you've bent the knee, the more stable the kneecap is. This is why we are most likely to dislocate when the knee is in a mostly straight position. Because the walls around the kneecap they're not as tall, you have less stability side to side. Now, if you have a condition called patella alta, where your kneecap sits higher than it normally should, this can affect it even more because now the walls are even smaller than they should be, meaning you have even less stability. Now, the mechanism as to why the kneecap will dislocate is something called knee valgus. As the knee moves inward, this angle pulls the kneecap to the side where it can slip over the wall of that groove and then end up dislocating. Now, if you've already dislocated at some point, you likely have damaged your medial patellofemoral ligament on the inside of the knee, which helps to stabilize the kneecap, meaning that once you've dislocated once, you are now even more likely to dislocate again, which makes it extra important that you listen to what I'm about to tell you. This knee valgus movement that people move into when they dislocate is due to several different factors that we will go over shortly. But in general, when you plant your foot to cut or turn when you're running or playing a sport, this is the most likely time when you'll dislocate. As that knee caves in, the patella is pulled out, and then you get the dislocation. Now, there are several things that we can't fix and then several that we can. What we can't fix is we can't change where the kneecap sits relative to that groove. So if it's sitting high, it's going to stay there. We can't fix how deep that groove is, meaning if you have a more shallow groove, you have less stability. And then we can't change any anatomical alignment of the leg that would predispose you to moving into that valgus position. What we can change is we can address weakness and instability of the foot. We can address weakness and instability of the hip muscles, and then we can address strength of your quads and mobility of the ankles. All of these things working together are going to help stabilize the kneecap itself, as well as maintain proper mechanical alignment of the knee joint when you're moving, so that when you plant that foot to cut, you're not going to move into that valgus position, which will predispose you to dislocating the kneecap. Starting with the foot, what will happen here is if your arch collapses whenever you land on that foot, you will move into what's called pronation, where the arch flattens out, and then this is going to pull the lower leg and knee inward into that same valgus position. So what we need to focus on is strengthening the muscles that support the arch to help avoid that motion by moving into what's called supination. Now, with this, I like to start with what's called doming. Now, the goal here is to pull the ball of your foot back towards the heel. Now, when you do this, your foot should shorten slightly and you should feel the muscles under the arch firing as you lift up the arch. Initially, this is very, very difficult for people to do. It takes a lot of repetition in order to actually feel this movement happening. Now, once you have that down, add that contraction to a heel raise. So what you'll do is you'll activate the arch muscles to help support the arch, and then you're going to move by lifting the heels up off the ground. Again, it's going to be very difficult to maintain that arch contraction when you do the motion, but the goal here is to get all of these muscles to fire together so that when you're using that foot during any sort of athletic movement, the arch and the ankle can support itself so that we don't see that pronation and flattening of the arch, which will predispose you to that knee dislocation. Next, we're going over hip strength. So when we have that knee valgus movement, this is basically adduction of the hip where the knee moves inward, and then internal rotation as well. So to help avoid those, we want to strengthen the abductors, mainly the gluteus medius muscle, and then we want to strengthen the external rotators to help avoid the internal rotation. Starting with the gluteus medius muscle, an easy way to strengthen this in an open chain position is with a sideline hip abduction exercise. Simply lay on your side with the leg straight, bring it back behind you slightly, and then go up and down, trying to lead with the heel. From there, we can progress to a lateral band walk. Now, to effectively perform this exercise, you want to place the band around your legs. The farther down the leg you put it, even on the foot, the harder the exercise will be. So depending on how difficult the band is, you may need to move the band around to make it possible for you. But what you'll do is you'll start with your feet in a wide stance, keeping tension the whole time. Take little steps side to side as you go. Make sure that you're not dragging the feet or turning the feet outward as you do this, because those are compensations for a weak hip. If you can avoid that, it's best to target the gluteus medius muscle. Now, eventually, we want to be doing something like a single leg squat or a variation of a lunge, making sure to avoid that valgus movement, because this the single leg motion biases that one hip and it helps to load that gluteus medius in a functional position. Now, when it comes to the external rotators, probably the best way to work on this is with a side plank comboed with a clamshell. So what you'll do is you'll get down on your side, up on your elbow, and then with a band around the knees, lift the hips up and then lift that top knee up. From here, you're going to hold as long as you want and then go back down and then reset. When it comes to quad strengthening, we want to focus on strengthening in that mostly extended position. So a great way to start this with an easy exercise is called a terminal knee extension. To perform this, simply find a wall, place a towel or a small ball behind your knee, and then using your quads, you're going to try and push the back of your knee into the wall. Now, if you're doing it correctly, you should feel all your quads fire. I would hold this for several seconds and then repeat for repetitions. From there, we can progress to a step down where you catch yourself on one leg, making sure that the knee is not caving inward as you do it. And then from there, let's go to a single leg jump where again, you catch yourself on that leg, maintaining proper alignment of the knee as you do it. These exercises will help improve your quad control when we are in that mostly extended position where the kneecap is most likely to dislocate. If you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button so other people can find it as well. Otherwise, let's move on to the next topic. Next, we have the ankle mobility into what's called dorsiflexion. Now, this motion is specifically important because when it's limited, if the ankle can't move into dorsiflexion, people will naturally compensate by moving into pronation of the foot, which includes, again, flattening of the arch. And like we talked about before, when the arch flattens, this is one of the contributing factors to that knee valgus movement. To improve your ankle mobility, we want to both stretch the gastroc muscle as well as the soleus muscle. Now, the gastroc is stretched when the knee is in a straight position, and the soleus is stretched when the knee is in a bent position. An easy way to do this is off of a step, and you can just straighten or bend the knee depending on what you want to stretch. I also like to stretch the soleus muscle by getting down into a deep squat and then placing a weight out in front of me where I just hold this position and I can rock side to side, stretch whatever side I want as I go. So really there are 4 things that we have to focus on: strengthening the arch of the foot, strengthening the hip, strengthening the quads, and then improving your ankle mobility. And remember, if you are predisposed to dislocating the kneecap, this can't necessarily prevent it, but it will dramatically reduce your chance of it happening. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments and I will try and answer those as I am able. Otherwise, if you want to subscribe, my channel is all about how we can build a physically fit and functional body that will last throughout the course of our lives.